Hello, this is Michael Hexter, and welcome to Politics 2100 here on YouTube. So this is the third in my mini-series on right-wing psychology, and I'm calling this one Willfulness, reality denial as force multipliers for the right wing. So in the last two, or the first, let's call them the first two installments of this series, and this is the third. I talked about willfulness as a stance, a mental stance that explains a lot about the actions of both the right-wing base and also right-wing leaders, like Donald Trump and also Trump supporters, but also going back in history to 20th century fascists, mid-20th century fascists, and also fascists in other countries. And this is a sort of a step in the direction of trying to see what reality basis there is to this mental stance, because there is also distortionary aspects to it. In other words, the willfulness distorts reality. It's people who are willful are disregarding. Willful is often compared with disregard in, English language, and so disregarding things and just having a nonchalant or capricious interpretation of things because you want to, because you're stubborn. And but this is the first of a couple installments of this series where I'm going to talk about the reality basis, or the advantageousness of having this willfulness. Okay, and so it helps if you're in a fight to or in a political fight, or in a other kind of fight, in any sort of conflict, to be demanding that, or of yourself and of the people with you, that you get the goal, that you that your perspective and your success should predominate over someone else's. In other words, that you are what's paramount is your view. What's paramount is what you want. Okay, so and this is exemplary of the, let's say, the Republican Party as it now exists, and also how the Democratic Party has acceded to that, that they act willfully, and the Democratic Party indulges that willfulness. Okay, and so it's a complementary relationship. So the GOP can get away with being so willful, or can because the Democratic Party doesn't capitalize it, doesn't expose it, not necessarily using the words willful and saying, oh, you're being willful, but to expose its egocentric and reality denying aspects. But still, in a conflict, it helps to be asserting one's will, asserting what one believes now is right. Now, in a just conflict, in a conflict that where you are representing justice, and where you're representing, let's say, universal values, or values that are beneficial to humanity, to people more generally, or to especially also the people you're trying to represent. If you're if you're in a democracy and you're representing a constituency, that your insistence on, and that your view is a reflection of that, if you're confident that your view is a reflection of that, of what is good for people, what is good, then your insistence is justified, but you need to check that. Of course, you need to find means to figure that out. But what happens with the right wing, in a way, is that you have a celebration of willfulness. You have a sense that everybody is entitled to their own little version of reality, and that you identify with the reality distortions and so forth and so on, and the arbitrariness and the capriciousness even of your leaders. You celebrate it, you want to enable it, so forth and so on, and this should also maybe ring some bells for some people when you think about neoliberalism and capitalism and consumer society and so forth and so on. I'll leave that to one side here, but anyway, the right wing, certainly in the United States, but also in some other countries, would have some good reason to continue on in their willful assertion of their own correctness and of their own desire for power, if they are unchecked, if there's no political force that's standing in their way that says that defeats them, okay, so that they will continue to seek out, if they continue to gain power, or to not lose power, but even to gain power by constantly asserting their favored position, whatever it is favored, whatever favors them, okay, whatever they think is now they would say right, quote unquote, but it's really often just whatever comes to their mind in some sense. And the base stands back and sort of says, well, you know, they're our representative, therefore, you know, I support them, versus the terrible hordes that are arrayed against us, so forth and so on. The people of lesser worth, okay, or the nefarious, tricky, communist, socialist, Jewish people, whatever you want to call it. I'm using all this in quotation marks. The people who are the deceivers, so to speak, not the in this cosmology, okay, of the right wing. And so they are our team, our leaders of our team. They can say what they want. They can change their minds. They can be capricious. They can be so forth and so on. And they will be celebrated for it sometimes, or often, because they are on our team, or they're for our team. And again, if there is no force that is two forces, one, there's no force standing in the way of their assertions being, you know, in other words, that they're not shown to be wrong in their assertions, but then also by a media that is aggressively exposing them, but also then a political force that stands in their way that says, you can't go any further with this, okay? You have to, we are exposing you now. We, the opposition, are exposing you, and they need the help of, among other things, or they often need the help of either their own research folk, or they need also the help of a media that is focused on the truth to expose the lies. And so this is the other component of, so the reality denial comes with willfulness. So you can often willfully attach yourself to one aspect of reality because it suits you, okay? But that will often, you often get turned around in some sense by constantly following that path, and the reality won't support you in all your caprices, in all your willed. So you get into reality denial. You want things to be exactly the way you are. So, for instance, now one of my big commitments is getting humanity to act seriously on climate change. So the denial of the human impact on climate, the human use of fossil fuels mostly, but also other land use decisions people make, and forestry and agricultural decisions that people have made over the last couple centuries, that that has impact on the situation, the climate catastrophe that we are now facing. So, and the right wing is denying that reality. I mean, among other things, there's other things they deny. Those kinds of reality they deny. They deny the reality of the COVID-19 pandemic often. All kinds of other things that are simply inconvenient for them. Inconvenient truths that gets in the way of their storytelling. Okay, that gets in the way of whatever their narrative that they're trying to spin. So, and this is where, you know, willfulness, the reality denial recruits a certain group of people who want also to deny reality. I think it's hard for people in the year 2023 in developed countries like the United States, in particular developed countries like the United States and Canada and Australia, where, you know, we have lived a hyper fossil fuel dependent lifestyle, and so we have a lot further to go in terms of our changes in our lifestyle to become net carbon, you know, in other words, to no longer emit net carbon into the atmosphere, and even to reduce the burden that we have created in the atmosphere, the heating effect of the emissions, that our lifestyles are the fulfillment of our wishes and desires through our economy, so forth and so on, that has created. It's harder to accept that, and also without forces that are forthrightly standing up, without leaders standing up saying we are forthrightly going to within a short period of time transform our energy systems, our agricultural and land use systems, our material culture, to reduce and eliminate that burden on the atmosphere, or on the let's say, or the heating potential in that atmosphere that we've created, and to bring it back to 350 parts per million CO2 equivalent. And in any case, so I don't want to get too much in the weeds of that, but what I'm trying to point out is that there is a common the reality denial part of the willfulness of the right wing has its constituency, has a constituency of people who are they are not big fans of reality currently. They're not big fans of certain aspects of reality, and so willful disregard is attractive to them. It gives them a sense of release, okay, of permission to continue on living the way they have. So anyway, so this is I'm calling this a force multiplier in the title of this video. In any case, this creates a constituency, and so there's the willfulness of the right wing, the insistence on one's own perspective over, or one's own perceived advantages over reality, over that of common human destiny, so forth and so on, that accords momentary political advantages, and that accords and also another area where it accords advantages is also just simply blotting out the demands of other people and insisting that your own demands, your own interests are paramount over those other people. So a sector of a group that claims, or that it is identifying itself as being a shrinking minority or shrinking majority, it's on the way to becoming a minority, you know, but still a privileged one that identifies itself as being the ruling group or the dominant group. They would want to excuse me excuse me in any case, they would want to have a perspective that demotes or disregards, willfully disregards the perspectives of other people, and arbitrarily focuses attention on only things that support their position in order to enable an anti-democratic movement in society, a move away from democracy, and its installation of minoritarian regime. So anyway, so I'm finding then here one example or one area in where this willfulness has a reality basis to some degree, or at least a political reality basis, and it has advantages to, even though there are disadvantages to it, and there are also, just in terms of the long-term survival of humanity, great disadvantages. So anyway, so I wanted to share these thoughts with you, and let me know if there's anything in it that you find either controversial or interesting or whatever. Share your thoughts in the comments, please. And also please like the video if you got anything out of it, and please subscribe to Politics 2100 to get notice of future videos. See you soon.